Coming up on the Together for Good podcast, I am sitting down right here in this chair, in this room with Addison Andrix. He's the new youth director here at Bethany, started back in May, and he just got back from the youth mission trip to San Diego that they took. And so he's got a lot of stories from that trip. It's a really fun conversation, hearing all about the fun stuff that happened and the really good work that they did down there, but most importantly, the questions that these young people are asking and how they're reflecting on the experiences they had. It's a great conversation. Here we go. Welcome to the Together for Good podcast, a podcast created by Bethany Lutheran Church in Cherry Hills Village, Colorado, and hosted by me, Pastor Nate Preisinger. On Together for Good, our goal is to provide practical, engaging content that supports you without expectations. Whether you're feeling disconnected from traditional religion or simply exploring what faith means in your life, we're here to walk alongside you. No matter where you are on your journey of faith, we're glad you're here. Welcome to Together for Good. Welcome to the Together for Good podcast. I'm sitting here with Addison Andrix in the flesh.
In the flesh.
You've never been on the Together for Good podcast before in person.
Never.
And I'm really excited that you are here in person and not just a figment of my imagination. You are the new youth director here at Bethany. We are surrounded by leather-bound books. It's going to be a great discussion. What I brought Addison on to talk about is the recently completed youth mission trip to San Diego. You have a shirt that you're wearing that I think has to go along with it.
Let's
Serve
see if
boldly.
We can get it in the shot.
There
we go.
No, I want the congregation to hear all about that and your excitement coming into it, going out of it. So just kind of walk us through it. Let's talk about what was it like planning a mission trip while still being in college and being thousands of miles away?
Yeah, it was really weird. Something I definitely, if you told freshman year Addison that he would have been doing that.
No kidding.
He would have told you absolutely not. There's no way. But it was a lot of fun. Yeah, a lot of the time was spent just figuring out where we're gonna stop along the road.
Yeah.
Because there's not a lot of stops where you can stop with 14 youth and 4 adults throughout the middle of Utah. And then also figuring out a hotel to stay at in Vegas that you're okay with taking a bunch of high schoolers to.
And that has enough room for all of us as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, Addison did an awesome job just figuring out all the weird details that go into a mission trip that
So
no one
many
thinks
little
about.
things. Yeah, no.
And you had all of it planned out. You had this crazy itinerary of, all right, we will drive this many miles, we will stop here, there's a gas station, and then these 2 places where we can eat. Really well done. What do you attribute that characteristic of your personality to? Because I am not like that at all. I would have just gotten in the road and driven.
I think, I always want to be perfect, and I always think I'm being criticized if it's not perfect, even if I'm not being criticized for it.
Okay.
So I like it to be as perfect as possible and have it super, super planned out. And if you got to throw the plan away, well, that stinks, but sometimes you got to do that. And then both my parents have been adult leaders on mission trips, so they were whispering in my ears some of the things
that helps.
They would have wanted done differently sometimes a youth director just might not think of from an adult leader perspective. So that was also super, super helpful.
So given how perfectly you tried to plan everything, on a scale of 1 to 10, how perfectly did the trip go?
I think it went great.
Okay.
It definitely didn't stick to my perfect plan, but no, it was great. There was some really weird times that on our first day of traveling, I think we stuck to our schedule within 15 minutes of the plan.
Okay.
It was spot on and everything. And then the next day we were gonna do a super quick stop at Costco where I'd jump out of the moving van, pick up pizzas, and go to the beach. Instead, we all got out of the van, spent 2 hours at Costco, which meant that we spent exactly 13 minutes at the beach. And I was catastrophizing, these kids are gonna hate me. Addison, you only planned 13 minutes at the beach, but they were gracious. We spent 13 minutes at the beach, 17 minutes showering the sand off of our feet afterwards. But they were just incredibly grateful for the opportunity to even go to the beach. Yeah,
because everybody,
great.
The real lesson of that is that Costco is actually better than the beach.
Yeah, who needs to go to San Diego when you can just drive down the street? Yes.
They're putting in a new one right by my house. I can't wait.
It'd be great.
No, so that was like the trip down. Like that is part of the fun of a mission trip too, is when you get to do these long car rides.
Yeah.
Which I know a lot of people dread, but I think is part of the magic of a mission trip.
It's the best.
And yeah, talk about like some of the stuff that maybe happened on the car rides and things like that. Just what was that like for you, especially as a new youth director, right? You're getting to know these kids kind of for the first time. What was that like?
Yeah, no, it was great. That actually, a lot of the kids weren't looking forward to it, especially because I took their phones away from them.
Yeah, smart.
I bought a toolbox with a padlock on it. They got 15 minutes after every single stop on their phone, and then we'd say, hand them up, and then we'd put them into the lockbox. But that was super intentional because some of the best conversations happen out of boredom. And out of annoyance and frustration of being stuck in a smelly 12-passenger van for, I think it was 20 hours there, 20 hours back with all the stops. But it was great because one of my biggest fears was that our students would fall into their cliques and the safety nets that they already had. And when everyone showed up on Saturday morning, there was a little bit of that, but it's your first day of the mission trip. It's also 7 o'clock in the morning during summer, and you had to pack and drive, and I'm guessing not a lot of people slept very much the night before.
Too excited.
But we got in the car ride. It was pretty quiet for about 5 minutes, and then it was just wild the rest of the time. And kids that I was expecting to sit down and be quiet were some of the loudest in the car, and there was so many fun inside jokes made on the mission trip that won't make it to the podcast for everybody's sake. But it was just so cool to see some of the students that I would have expected to not interact with that type of student or that type of student or that type of student. They didn't look at each other that way at all. They were Bethany youth on a mission trip to have fun. And that's what it was.
And the group that you had was a really good group. I mean, it's a younger group, which I'm also excited about because they're like kind of moving into high school now with you just arriving. So it's a lot of excitement about what high school youth group will look like here at Bethany moving forward. But it's a lot of really good kids who just kind of get along with everybody, you know? And I saw that and experienced it. My role on the mission trip, I flew out at the end and was just part of helping drive back. So I got to experience at least the second half of the car ride home and pick up on some of the dynamics that had developed. And it was really cool to see, just the way that friendships formed and community formed, but you're right, like there were no real cliques. It was everyone kind of hanging out with everybody, which is exactly what you hope for on a trip like this. But we need to get into what actually happened, right? Like this was a mission trip. Tell us about, why did we go to San Diego? What did you do while you were there? I think those are stories people want to hear.
Yeah, absolutely. So we went down to San Diego, and we were there from a Sunday through Friday. We got in at about 5 p.m. on Sunday, and we were staying at St. Andrew's Lutheran Church. Great facility. It was super cool. One niche little thing about the church is a lot of churches in San Diego aren't one building like Bethany is. They actually have 3 different buildings. So one building is their sanctuary, another is their fellowship hall with the bathrooms and the showers in it, and then the third one is their office building. So at night we had to wake up, unlock the doors with the one key we had, and then go into the other building and unlock that building and to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night. Luckily, no one had to wake me up, or I just slept through it if they did. So St. Andrew's Lutheran Church down in San Diego was phenomenal. If you're ever on vacation, go check them out for worship. So they hosted us there very graciously. And when we were actually in San Diego, there was 3 different types of service projects that we did. We did direct service, which would be like helping out at a food shelter or at a soup kitchen or something like that. There was indirect service projects, which was like packaging up food, where we're never going to interact with the people that are receiving these gifts. But the work needs to get done. And then there was educational service projects as well. It wasn't as much of a service project, but a lot of educational stuff was going on. So every single day we had 2 different projects happening where we were actually split up into 2 groups of 9 since we had such a large group. On the first, but sometimes we were together, sometimes we were apart. So Sunday, we got there, we got oriented, and we just kind of hung out. There was another group from Montana that was there, so we made some friends with those folks. And then on Monday, we did a Border Angels project where we we made these care packages in 1-gallon bags with clothing, food, electrolytes, water, all sorts of essentials that you need. And then we drove to a Home Depot where day laborers
wow.
hang out outside of these hardware stores like Home Depot, and general contractors will just drive up and say, hey, I need 3 laborers for a full day's work. I'll pay you $5 an hour. And it's all they have for employment. So they're at the will of these contractors that come, and they have to trust that they are good people that say what they do. And another thing that we put inside these little goodie bags or care packages were know your rights cards. So there was 2 different languages we had. One was Spanish and the other one was Haitian Creole. And both of them had English on the flip side as well. And we didn't ask them if they needed it. We just gave them out regardless, because some of the folks might have been undocumented immigrants. Other might be American-born citizens that simply don't have any other source of employment.
Yeah.
So we got to go there. We only spent about 20 minutes actually handing out the packages, but then we spent another hour just talking with the people and getting to know their stories. And that was a huge part of this week. They even say it in our onboarding packet of there's going to be times where the task at hand might be to paint a house, but you don't do any painting because you're getting the story of the homeowner. Where they really, really value that relational connection. And it was so much fun. There was one point where Jacob Shop and Will Davey came up to me and said, hey, can we go get the hacky sack from the car and play with them? And my first reaction was, no, we're doing a service project. You can't play hacky sack. And I'm like, actually, why don't we check with the person that's helping us out? Her name was Anna. She was awesome, knew everything, had a great relationship with these day laborers. And she's like, absolutely, why wouldn't you? And that was a cool switch in my mindset of, we're not just here to do service projects, we're here to have fun with these people.
Yeah, and to learn from them.
And learn from them.
Cool.
So it was really cool so we got the hacky sack and started teaching some of the day laborers how to play hacky sack. That was so much fun, and really get their story. So that was just the first morning for an hour.
So talk to me about that though. What do you think, what were some of the reflections of the youth with that experience, or even just your reflection, like from a faith angle, right? Like what shifts in you, right? Because you're even talking about some of the shifts, but I want you to put it in faith language for us, or maybe some of the youth again, like we're kind of talking about it in that way. Because I'm always curious how those experiences affect the way we think about ourselves, the way we think about God.
Yeah. I think our level of privilege is something we talked about a lot. And privilege is this weird word that's been thrown around a lot, especially over the last 5-10 years, of if you fit this demographic, you're privileged, and it's used to discredit someone's work ethic or something like that. So a lot of people, including myself, I used to get called privileged, and I'd be like, whoa, I worked my way through college. What do you mean? But in reality, it's acknowledging that you have these blessings from God that because of where you were born or the color of your skin or your gender identity or all these things, you get to live an easier life than someone else. And that was a really big thing of there was a lot of why gods that we asked throughout the week of, God, why do I get to come to this beautiful church, and when I say I'm hungry, it's because I'm too lazy to actually microwave the food that's in the fridge. Whereas there's these people that are working harder than me, and they don't know when they're getting or where they're getting their next meal. So that was a really big faith question that we had to ask was, why is it like this? And we couldn't find an answer because there isn't exactly one answer. And one thing that we talked about was, it's not that God is picking and choosing who gets this or who gets this, but he's picking and choosing how we want to respond to that. And it's just like our Lutheran faith of we don't get to go to, or it doesn't matter how many mission trips we go on or how few times we curse or how good we are at resting on the Sabbath to make it into heaven. We're freely given this gift to go on these mission trips, and we get to do these things.
Yeah, and that's right. Like, what an important thing for a high schooler to start asking. Right? Like at any phase in their time of that school, like just to be thinking these bigger questions and understanding these bigger realities of the world at a younger age. and in the safe context of this mission trip. I love that that's happening. All right, keep going. I know it's a long trip, so there's more pieces to it than that.
So that was our first project. So much fun. It was great. We got to know a lot of people, and one of the big surprises was there was a lot of people that were ecstatic just to see us and talk with us, but there were some people that actually said no to accepting these care packages because in their culture, you have to work for it.
Yeah.
That a handout would almost be insulting. So we had a lot of conversations about that as well, and that was a really interesting shift in dynamic. And then, so that was Monday morning. Monday evening, we had, we split up into 2 different groups and we served dinner at 2 different, one of us was at a church serving dinner and the other group was at a soup kitchen serving dinner. And that was really, really cool to interact and really get to see the kids interacting and just watching them bless the food that's out there with a smile. And that was so cool for me to see because I got to just step back and watch them work, and they did phenomenal.
Awesome.
And then Tuesday, let's see, where were we at on Tuesday? Tuesday we did an educational day in the morning where we were at a park in Barrio Logan. I keep forgetting the name of the actual park, but it is a beautiful park with hundreds of murals where it tells a lot of Latin American history through these murals, and it is completely funded by the community, and the community really takes it in as their own park. So we sat down and we got about an hour and a half long presentation from Pastor Manuel about all these different things that were there. I thought it was super, super entertaining. A little bit long.
For the kids, yeah.
A little bit long for 9 a.m. But it was really, really cool. I was nerding out the whole time about it. It was really awesome. And then we got to go see these beautiful murals and a lot of the untold history that doesn't make it into our whitewashed history books.
Sure.
And to hear these different things, and we'll make sure to share some of those pictures on social media so you guys can see.
Oh, that's so cool. I mean, it's cool. I love thinking about the ways that art tells a story, right? And that it can be these like beautiful public displays and make, you know, a rougher part of town really vibrant and beautiful and a place you want to visit. But in the same sense too, like sharing the stories that maybe can't make it into a book, but it can make it into a piece of art in this public space. Like it's just such a neat dynamic, and frankly, like it's a part of Christian history too. Like art has told the stories for centuries and generations, right? Like stained glass windows in churches because people couldn't read, so you learned the stories by looking at the pictures on the walls of the church that you attended, right? Like it's just always been a part of who we are as people of faith too. So that's really cool to hear them getting that experience. And 90 minutes is right. Like I would never do a confirmation lesson for 90 minutes.
No.
Come on. Anyways.
No, but it was great.
I'm sure they still got stuff out of it.
Yeah, they did for when they were awake at least.
Yeah.
So no, but it was just so great. And there's so much Spanish American culture or Mexican American culture that is rooted in the earth and in faith as well. So that was really cool to see these different aspects of their culture as well, where what does our culture look like compared to that? And I mean, Pastor Manuel talked for 20 minutes just about the importance of corn and things like that, and how that is tied into all this art, which is so, so cool. So that was a lot of fun. And then we got pizza at a local beach for lunch that day with the other church. That was just across the bridge. And a really important part was Barrio, and I could be misspeaking on this, but Barrio Logan is one of the poorest neighborhoods in California, in that general areas, yet it had this beautiful, rich culture in the heart of it. And then just across one bridge is one of the 10th richest neighborhoods in all of America. And it's less than a mile away.
Oh my gosh.
And just that culture. And
that disparity.
That realization of, and that was a great faith conversation as well of how do we bridge this gap? Now, it doesn't mean that you got to go sell your house and you got to give up what you have, but how can we acknowledge these differences and try to unite people and better hear everybody's stories as well? So that was really, really impactful.
That's great.
And then Tuesday night, we did one of our indirect service projects. It was called Feeding San Diego, where we sifted through and packaged up plums into 4-pound packages for an hour and a half. And, you know, it wasn't my favorite because super low to the ground, and I'm
Kinda
a
tall.
little bit on the taller side.
A lot of back
so
pain.
I wasn't having the most fun with it, but it was cool to see all the students were having a great time with it, and some of them said that that was the most fun they had that
I
week.
heard that was like, it was like competition too, of like, how many
Yeah.
plums can you do? But the neat thing about that too, John Shop, who was one of the adults on the trip,
Yeah.
he was telling me that I guess they get these like huge things of produce donated by like grocery stores.
Yeah.
It's like all the like damaged
Yeah.
stuff, and there's some sort of California law that says you can't throw it away, you have to give it to these food banks or something.
Oh, I
like
didn't
that.
even realize that it was a law.
Again, I could be wrong on that, but I think that that's a neat setup too, of like we have these like weird standards and so much abundance,
Yeah.
right? Like there's more than enough food for everyone to be fed, and yet still every night many people go hungry.
Yeah.
And that seems to be, at least that system is trying to solve some of that. And
that's exactly what they're doing.
yeah, even though it's just plums for days and days and
Yeah.
days, but yeah.
But not even that. So you've got the first market, which is if it makes it into the grocery store, but then what happens to all the good, the issue is the good produce that's surrounded by bad produce. There was some plums in there that like we just had to throw it away into this compost bin, but there was still good sustenance in there. And then not only does it get a second life for the good produce that's going there, there's a big compost bin that then gets shipped to cattle farms and dairy farms where it goes to pigs and cows and all these animals.
Oh, no way.
They eat this food that isn't safe for human consumption, but it is for animals.
Yeah.
So this food is actually getting 3 different lifetime opportunities.
Absolutely.
And I don't think any of it gets thrown away except for the stuff that's
Oh, that's fantastic.
embedded in the cardboard by the end of the shift.
Sure.
So, yeah. So that was Tuesday night, and it was really cool to see how much fun they were having. And I believe that between us and the other group that was there packaging apples, we packaged enough food to feed over 1,000 families in San Diego. And it was like 90 minutes, I think.
Oh my gosh.
That we were there. It was great.
As long as the talk. Got it.
Yeah, as long as the talk. As long as the talk.
What was Wednesday?
Wednesday. So Wednesday was our last day of full service projects, and we were split up for both activities, where we each went to, I always butcher this name, but Shira's Closet. I think that's actually the right way to pronounce it.
Okay.
Where this closet is it is a nonprofit organization that is run solely based off of donations, not even grants, simply donations, where people will donate their clothes, and this closet then sifts through the clothes. They look at whether it's good enough quality, and quite frankly, whether or not people would want to wear it or not. And then they size it, and then they shelf it, and then people can go online and they can say what kind of clothes they need, and they have any kind of
Oh my
clothes
gosh.
imaginable, other than I think swimwear is the only kind that they don't consistently carry. So people can then go online and say, I need professional women's work attire,
Yeah.
and they have that for them.
Oh my gosh.
So then you go, you sign up, and they prepackage this stuff, and I believe that there's a delivery system through it as well, or they come pick it up, and you're just grabbing a bag of clothes and you're leaving.
So cool.
So that was the one that the students didn't like quite as much because they got to fold clothes for 2 hours. And it was the last day of our service project, so they were all pretty tired, but they were troopers through it, and I was really, really proud of
Yeah,
them.
probably not the most exciting service project, but a very cool organization and design.
Yes.
Right, like in the way that it's giving these people who need help some real dignity and free will and choice, and not
Yeah.
just the scraps and leftovers, but like, no, like, what do you need? What would be helpful to you?
Yeah.
What do you actually, yeah, I like
Well, and
that.
the best part is, even if it wasn't their favorite, they still worked incredibly hard. I was blown away with how hard these 13, 14, 15-year-olds were working, maybe even one 16-year-old on the trip.
Yeah.
How hard they were working, and they acknowledged that it's not a ministry we like doing, but it's a ministry that needs to get done. So we're
Yeah.
going to do it.
It's awesome.
So that was one of them, and we alternated. So my group was there in the afternoon, and in the morning we were at a place called Father Joe's Village. The other group was at a different soup kitchen style place.
Okay.
And what Father Joe's Village is, it is literally an entire village for unhoused people, where they house anywhere from 2,000 to 3,000 people daily.
Oh my gosh.
In this village, where they've got a courtyard, a playground, they've got a mess hall, they've got a nurse's office, they've got a rehab facility, and they've got all these different things. And then there's a separate building that they partner with where it's completely a rehab hospital, where if you're struggling with addiction, You come in and you get the treatment you need, no questions asked.
Incredible.
And that was really, really cool. So I actually got to be on the floor with Evelyn at this dining service
My daughter
place.
Evelyn, okay.
Yes, and she was, I was blown away with how good she was. She was better with them than I was. These people come in and they get 2 trays and they only get milk if they have a dietary restriction for lunch. Everybody gets milk with breakfast, but you only get the extras if you have a dietary restriction. And she was great of standing her ground with empathy of if people, when sometimes when the people see that new people are in, they'll try to get milk even if they aren't able to, or get a third meal or something like that. And it was really cool to see how she would interact with them with
Holy
empathy
cow.
And yet firmness of saying, hey, sorry, we can't do that because you're not on our list. However, if you need milk for medical accommodations, you can go over there. And it was really, really cool to get to see her interact with them.
What a tough position to put a 14-year-old into too, you know?
Yeah, and it was really, really cool. And it's a cool soup kitchen where if there's anyone with any disabilities, they walk in, they sit down, and then we go and get their plates for them. There's also a pet area where if you have pets, you go and sit down and we serve you guys. And how gracious people were when we were there. It was so, so cool.
Love it.
There was one guy that was joking with me. He was asking to see the menu, and I couldn't tell if he was joking right away. And I'm like, we have breaded chicken patties for you. And he's like, oh, so no fillets today? And he was just joking. And the humor that he had, despite his circumstances of whatever those might be, was incredible. And there was another lady, we called her Pink Hat Lady because she had a pink hat that said princess. And she was asking Evelyn, hey, I just recently lost my job and I'm down on my luck, but I need to stay involved. How can I volunteer here?
Wow.
So we helped the lady that was in there for food get involved with serving these people later on, which was so, so cool.
Absolutely.
So that was the second project that we did on Wednesday, and that was just incredible and an incredible ministry to see. And another ministry that they do is they have travel nurses that just walk the streets of San Diego, and if they see someone that's overdosing, struggling with addiction, or needs any sort of medical help, they've got a big backpack on that they flip it around and they help people on the street of like a walking doctor almost. And that was really, really cool. So we didn't interact with those folks too much, but there was a couple people getting meals at the end of their shift that I got.
What I think is so cool is hearing from, during my ride home with the kids, is they were so touched by getting to be a part of these experiences that they were saying to you, hey, can we find an organization in Denver that can be like the high school place that we go to help out? Like, is there a soup kitchen where we can serve regularly and develop the relationships and the consistency? I was blown away by that desire amongst them and that vision that they have of like wanting to show up regularly in their own town to help out other people. So cool. So cool. All right, so then talk about Thursday. That was another learning day. This was down to the border.
Down to the border.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So we took Pastor Manuel led us down to the border, and we actually, and as you're driving up to the border for about a mile and a half, there's signs that say no trespassing. But within this no trespassing area, there's public parks.
Okay.
So they put these no trespassing signs up to steer people away from this area as you're leading up to the border, even though there's public parks within these no trespassing areas.
Okay.
Which is super interesting and a little bit confusing because then once you do get to the border, it's an actual no trespassing zone.
Totally.
For safety reasons, because they have Border Patrol agents driving up and down this highway along the wall. And it's actually not just one wall, but where we were at, there's 2 walls.
Okay.
There's one right along the U.S. border, and then about 25 to 50 yards from there, there's another wall on the U.S. side. So there's a kind of a no man's land in between. And it's not just a chain link fence, it's 30-foot tall pillars that are drove into the ground.
Wow. That's got to be like just so intimidating to see.
It's incredibly intimidating, and so it's these 30-foot long pillars, and then there's sheet metal across the top, so you wouldn't even be able to like wedge between to get over it. And we went to 2 different locations. One was a place where we actually walked up to the wall. We placed our hand on the wall, and we got to pray while we were on the wall. We only had about 30 seconds before we were greeted by a couple Border Patrol agents, and they were incredibly kind to us and gracious to us. And they pretty much just told you of if someone ends up getting over the wall and we come over this hill at 70 miles an hour to reach this person and we don't see your group there, it's a safety issue. So it was really, really cool to see this level of compassion that these Border Patrol agents had with us, because that's not the view that they get in the news these days.
No kidding.
So I think that was also really important to see.
Just all the pieces of it,
for the
right?
students as well.
Absolutely.
Of seeing that there was just as many Latin American Border Patrol agents as there was white Border Patrol agents. And a lot of the students were asking me why, and I can't speak to that because I don't know their stories. But some of them were willing to speak with us, and some of the students engaged with them, and that was super, super powerful. And
no, and I think that's, because we get these issues become so polarized in the news that it's like, good guys versus bad guys or whatever else it is. And it's like, no, like there's so much, people are just trying to make a paycheck and do their job. And we need to have, like a border there in some aspect to separate one country from the other. There's just different pieces to the complexity of it. And did Pastor Manuel like kind of get into that?
Yeah, he did. And he did a really great job of talking about the expansion of the wall as well. People love to blame one side of the political party to it, but this wall has been growing for all of since the beginning of time.
Right, exactly.
Where that was really cool for him to talk about of this isn't a Republican versus Democrat issue. This is we're humans, we need to maintain safety, but we also need to maintain compassion and empathy. How do we do that as Christians? And how do we bring compassion and empathy into these conversations to be able to make it a conversation and not a debate or an argument or a screaming match or anything like that? And that was super, super
I love that happened. I think that exactly, and that's so good for our young people to hear as well, right? Like, hey, let's acknowledge the complexity of this issue, and not just take a side because of what news station we listen to.
Exactly. So we drove up to the wall. Pastor Manuel gave us a very good briefing about the decrease in the number of people that are jumping over the walls and the dangers of jumping over the walls, because I mean, no one can get through. I think they said there's been 10 attempts in this area with the double walls over the last year, and it used to be much, much higher than that. It's nearly impossible because of you're scaling two 30-foot walls without getting caught in between, and that place is locked down like crazy. We had people actually, when we got to our second location, the Border Patrol agents, they said, hey, you were over at this place earlier, right? In a very comedic way they were sharing with us. But it was like, they know you're coming from the time that you start even thinking about approaching there. So that leaves families that don't have the finances to make it over legally or aren't able to figure out how to do it. They have to pay off coyotes in the middle of the desert, where a lot of times they can make it across the wall, but then they're stuck with 110-degree heat in the middle of the day with no water for days on end, and they aren't able to make it all the way, unfortunately. So it was really cool to hear him talk about these different programs that go on and talk about these different, how worship has looked like for his congregation, because what they do is at 1 o'clock on Sundays, they'll drive out to the border and then they'll do another worship service at the border. And it's looked differently throughout the years, where it used to be a very consistent thing. And the border used to be a line on a map, and then it was barbed wire on the ground, and then it was chain link fence, and then it was a super tight knit chain link fence where you could only touch your pinky in between to do a blessing. And now it's eventually progressed to the point where it's two 30-foot wall barriers in between. But Pastor Manuel talked about stories where he would walk through the barbed wire to play football or soccer with his cousins on the Tijuana side. And then come back over. And then they used to do communion at the border, holding hands across the border and doing communion and worship in a shared space.
But you did do communion at the border, yes?
Yes. Yep. So we still did this, but now you can't do it with people on the Tijuana side of the border.
Sure.
So we went down to the border. We were able to pray over the wall. We took a couple of pictures there. Pastor Manuel spoke to us for a while there. And then we drove a little bit longer to a place called International Friendship Park, where we parked our cars, and then we hiked for about an hour to this worship location where it was, you've got Tijuana right here, the two walls, and then the San Diego side right here, and then the ocean's right here. So you are as southwest in America, or in the continental U.S. as you can possibly be. And we worshiped there for about an hour, and we said these a couple different different languages. There was a translation of the Bible in a Native American language.
Oh, wow.
Or Native American English crossover. So very rooted in earth.
Absolutely.
In the scripture. So we read that, we took communion. Pastor Manuel did a short homily out there, and that was really, really impactful.
Absolutely. I mean, it just like that type of presence, and what we would call like incarnational ministry of being in the place where these issues are happening that you're talking about, but bringing a worshipful experience to it, right? Like, and worship is about remembering and connecting with the presence of God, right?
Yeah.
Like, and so bringing that even into this place, like there is something so deep about what's happening there that I really appreciate. This sounds, I mean, what an incredible collection of experiences, right? For these high schoolers to have. And I am just so appreciative of your organization and your leadership of it and the way that you connected so well with them. But also like, the conversations that happened, right? Like out of this, that you helped foster, that helped foster on their own just by nature of being a part of these experiences. I'm so grateful for that our high schoolers got to have something like that, right? And that Bethany got to be a part of it. Like we got to help foster that. You did, right? Like with your donations and your faith shares and your eating burritos at our breakfasts helped make that happen for these kids. And what a gift to them that their church is exposing them to bigger ideas and other situations and then inviting them to connect their faith to it, right? Like, because that's the important piece, right? Of worshiping in these areas and saying like, wait, what does God have to do with the border? Where do those two things overlap or connect, or don't they, or do they, or is it more nuanced than what I've been told? Just super cool.
Yeah.
Do you have just any like closing thoughts for our friends as we think about this mission trip? What do you want people to take away from this as one who lived through the whole thing, not just the car ride home?
Yeah. Well, one, like, I'm jealous that I didn't get to experience this when I was their age.
Yeah.
Like, it was awesome. And I mean, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday night, I was up, and Friday, I guess.
Yeah.
We're up past midnight because of the deep, intentional conversations. I mean, lights out was at 10:30, but we had a very beautiful little courtyard area where every night I'd wait till everyone went to bed because I felt bad pawning it off onto the other youth leader that was there for keeping our kids in line if they were rowdy. So I would always wait until the end, and every single day I'd walk outside to go brush my teeth, and a couple students were sitting outside, whether that was just admiring the stars or it was, why am I worthy of salvation? Or why is this happening to these people?
Holy cow.
And it doesn't happen to me. Like, why should I get to go home to the beautiful house that I live in?
Yeah.
When some people don't have houses.
Yeah.
And I think that there is
those big questions.
Those big questions, it's really hard to foster those questions when you're just at Bethany. And it's a beautiful place, don't get me wrong, but that 15 minutes in the fellowship hall after church,
you're not going to bring that up. Exactly.
You're not going to bring up those deep questions, or, hey, I've got a family member with cancer.
Yeah.
Deep things like that, or, hey, I don't feel welcomed at my school. I don't feel welcomed with where I'm at, but I feel safe at Bethany. I feel safe on this mission trip. And we had some students even on Monday night during our church time bring up some deep, heavy topics at 10:30 p.m. to the whole group that I'm like, holy smokes, I didn't realize we're bringing this up right before bedtime.
No, those were on the car ride too.
And on the car ride too, that I don't think that I can even put it to words how grateful I am that these young adults, these 14 and 15-year-old young adults, get to experience in a world that says, no, just keep scrolling on your phone.
Right.
Just keep scrolling. And it's not just red versus blue. It's not just ELCA versus another denomination. It's not just this versus this. We are humans that were created by an ever-loving God. And we suck at taking care of our brothers and sisters. So let's do a better job. And now they've got an itch to do a better job and to be they said, Addison, how can we get involved in Denver?
They gave you homework.
Yeah, they gave me homework, and let's do it.
Let's do it.
Like, there's no way for us to not do it. And we've got it scheduled for July, at the end of July, to do a service project, but not just July, let's do it frequently.
Yeah, I love it.
And like Nate said earlier, it wouldn't be possible without your guys' generosity. We did our faith shares, we had a couple random donations, we did a couple breakfast fundraisers, we even did some landscaping fundraisers. Thank you so much to all of you who have brought out different random ideas that we wouldn't have even thought about for fundraisers that really made this happen, because we were able to make this happen at an incredibly low cost.
Absolutely.
For the families. And yes, it was still a cost, but compared to some trips that students go on,
I know,
it was pennies on the dollar.
Yeah, very affordable.
And thank you, Pastor Nate and Kevin and everybody else that did so much work, and Gail's team that did a great
with
job
the food
to help make these things happen, because ministry doesn't happen without the support of the entire congregation. And although only 14 students and then 4 adults plus Pastor Nate and Gary, those might be the only ones that got to see it in person. It changed these students' lives.
Yeah, it really did. It really did. It really matters. And yeah, Addison, thanks for showing up and saying yes, and organizing all of it, and just your passion that you bring to this. I'm excited for what's next.
Yes.
Yes. And you, thank you for listening.
Yes.
As always, dear listener, share this with family and friends who might want to hear the story. We really appreciate your support of all of this. As always, stay in peace.
But before you go in peace, on August
16th.
August 16th.
Oh, that's a good one. August
Yes.
16th. That's right. August 16th. You can hear more about this as our youth kind of lead worship that Sunday. So mark your calendars. We'll announce it as it gets closer. But yes, stay in peace until August 16th.
Yes.
When you get to hear more. Bye, everybody.
Thank you for listening to the Together for Good podcast. If you'd like more resources for your walk of faith, please visit our website, bethany-denver.org, or download our mobile app by searching Bethany Connect in your phone's app store.